Our next guest, Tarik Rever, lives with myasthenia gravis. They describe themselves as a disabled model, artist, activist, inventor for the disabled, and singer. We have a lot to talk about. Tarik, come on in.
Hi, nice to be here.
Oh my goodness. All right. So first I want to talk about you call yourself a disabled artist. So tell me more about that.
Well, first, I just want to thank you, Amber, for creating a beautiful platform where people can speak from the heart, mind, and soul. It's so beautiful what you're doing. I just want to say that real quick.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Thank
But now back to you.
you. Okay. Yeah, so I'm a disabled artist and artist with music, artist with visual arts and modeling. I use that with my influencer sort of platform with my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And basically, I want to remind people that when you're disabled, um, we're all just like you. We just all want to be loved. We all want the same things in life. We just want more equality with that. So I'm an activist in several areas, but when I became, I was a dancer for a while before I was disabled. Once I became disabled, all the causes I was passionate about kind of rose to the top, and that became more my focus. Is all these different causes.
Could you define your disability with us?
Sure, I appreciate that question because a lot of people don't really know what myasthenia gravis is. One thing that it is common that people will probably recognize is a lot of the same medications that we have to take are the same that a lot of cancer patients have to take. Because our immune system is so just so ferocious that we have to suppress it with certain medications. But basically, it makes your entire well, at least with me, because everyone they call us the snowflake disease because not every one person with myasthenia is the same. But with me, I'm like my whole entire body is weak. Like I have to use a wheelchair outside the house. Inside the house, I can use a walker and get help to bed. A lot of times, sometimes I have to be monitored. That if I'm too tired, sometimes it's hard to eat or even talk. I rested all day yesterday for this, so I can talk. I'm like I'm ready. But if I was tired, I'd be like, like my whole left side would be this out of kaput. My left side's weaker for some reason.
How old were you when you were diagnosed?
Um, that was well, I'm 44 now, and that was about in 2016. I was diagnosed. 2016.
What were you doing before your diagnosis as a performer and activist?
Oh, what's crazy about that? It was close to my birthday, and right before my birthday, I was making a small indie film. I was directing this indie film, and I had collapsed on the floor. I remember I had collapsed, and I was just laid there. Everybody, all the cast had left already. I was by myself with the camera equipment. I was just laying there. I was like, this isn't right. This is something wrong. There were so many occasions where I just collapsed on the floor and just couldn't get up, and I was trying to diagnose it, seeing a couple of doctors here and there, but no one could figure it out. Not at first.
And how rapidly was the decline?
Oh wow! Like once the collapsing started happening, it was really fast. It was really fast. Luckily, my father he passed away some time ago, but when he was still here, he was a doctor in the Middle East, and just hearing the symptoms over the phone, he goes, he goes in Baylor, we had a study about that, and it sounds like myasthenia gravis. So I suggested that to a neurologist, and she's like, it could be myasthenia gravis. So they did testing for myasthenia, and they discovered like my electrical impulses were coming out so weak that I could be considered myasthenia gravis.
How did that change your life?
Completely, completely. It took a lot of soul searching because maybe I used my body like I focused too much on the body perhaps in the past because I was weightlifting. I was very physical. Um, I like. I mean, you see, I'm very androgynous, and I'm totally okay with that. But it was less of a choice now because back when I was in my prime, I was 180 pounds of muscle. It was just all muscle, and I was all working out all the time, dancing, performing, a dancer, and on the weekends promoting a club, and so it was very physical. I used to be a cashier and sit on my feet all the time. It was just like it was all physical, demanding. And once I became disabled, my weight dropped so fast. It was like right now I weigh like I think 117 pounds, something like that. And that included my hair. My hair is like to my toes, past my toes.
Is that all
That's
yours?
all my hair.
Oh my gosh. That could weigh you down, that's for sure. Um, all right, I'm trying to think of other questions. How are you using your disability to help others?
Okay, so the fact that I am disabled really opened my eyes on this how much the world doesn't see us the way we should be seen. You know, medically, the medical center, uh, the the like. Oh, you actually had a recent report on your Instagram about President Joe Biden passed the bill to cap insulin at $35, which was amazing. $35 for insulin was normally like what $400, $600 or something like that. That was huge. So there's certain medicines I'm supposed to take, not insulin, but I'm supposed to take for my eyes. That's $400. I can't even take. So my eyes are constantly under battle. You know, I have glaucoma too. But basically, I used my social media as a platform to bring these issues up to light, and I partner with different influencers like Miles Sexton, um, uh, also Spencer West. Spencer West, you know, he. I think from like the waist down, he doesn't have mostly legs, and so he just uses his arms to get around, and he's completely adapted. He drives and everything, you know, and so he's like such an inspiration to me because you know I'm disabled in a wheelchair, but he's even more disabled, and he does not let that stop him, you know. So we use these platforms to show people that you can have a life, you can be passionate and live your dreams while being disabled, you know. So also there's a hashtag called supportive culture, hashtag supportive culture, and hashtag supportive society. And we use those hashtags with Emily Carmen. She's another advocate that's disabled. Emily Carmen helped develop the hashtag with me, and also with uh, forgive me, Hestia Illa. Hestila Illa is an amazing influencer. She's also in a wheelchair, and all of us will partner up and have like these forums about like how to make the world better and bring these issues to light. So I think using social media, we all can combine our voice together, and because by yourself you can still do a lot, but it's much more quieter when there's one voice. You know, if you have multiple voices, you can really get things accomplished.
How do you connect with them?
Oh, most of my friendships and connections are through text, through email, through social media, chat. Sometimes on a call or a video phone, like this video conference. I just had to rest up a lot of times for video conferences because my eyes are sensitive. So, like the lighting I have here is to the left and right of me, not straight at me. So long as I have to look the light right at me, I can still like be in the light. But it's like a challenge sometimes. But I make it work.
Well, it sounds like you offer a lot of support for other people. What support do you have?
Oh, thank you. That's a beautiful question. So my family has really surprised me. I already knew I had faith in my family, but they've really have shown how much they can accommodate me by changing things in their lives to make me feel comfortable and to help me survive and to live. You know, I guess the thing that gets me the most is sometimes my wife has to like sometimes help me with like the simplest thing is like even putting on clothes. Sometimes if I'm really weak that day, I have to monitor so I don't choke on food. I made this articulated neck brace with a gap in the middle so I can swallow food without choking myself. So that's another thing I had to adapt. I had to make uh, things for myself to support myself, like because my head would get too tired, so my neck brace helps. I had to make these compression sleeves to help the circulation in my arm push the blood past because my blood flow is real slow. So I found ways to adapt, and pretty much my family has just really been sweet with me. They push my wheelchair around because I can't push the wheelchair by myself. My arms get tired, so they push the wheelchair for me, you know, or open the door for me, help me get to bed. I mean, just really, I was really thankful.
Who do you live with?
My wife, stepdaughter, and like a ton of animals. We have so many animals, it's insane. But we love them. We love them.
I understand you've created some inventions as well. So we have a clip and we'd like to show that.
Thank you.
Damn, dude.
Wow. Do you have any education or degree in engineering, or how did you create those?
Oh, I've just really loved science ever since I was a little child. I did have aspirations to be a robotics engineer growing up, but I didn't pursue it in the traditional sense. I did it on my own. Just like ever since, I mean, I was a little kid making tiny robots, moving around and doing stuff like I was just kind of gifted with that. I'm just thankful that I was. And then I started applying that to things that are necessities. Like different prototypes. This is like maybe the fifth or sixth iteration of the neck brace. I have different ones, and I made one for my friend Noelle there, for example. She had a neck brace, and she tested the glove. Is probably one of the most impressive things that I'm surprised it happened, because the glove makes your grip about 5 times stronger, and using physics, it's even not even electronics, it's using physics, but it makes your grip about 5 times stronger. And so I'm working on trying to streamline that to make it more user friendly. But yeah, it works. I mean, this stuff works, and I wish I could produce it faster. I do have a few people I make stuff for, but I would love to have more funding and more resources to really apply this.
Now, do you have a patent for that? I mean, you'd think that there'd be enough people who would need that someone would gather that up.
Oh, I know. I think when things are so different, it's like people like this. There's still like this disbelief. Like you're like, let me see. Like it's like that's why in that video, like I wanted the world to actually not just use it, but try to like shake someone's hand. And when you actually can use it, then you can feel the strength. You're like, this is real. Like this is real. Like like it becomes tangible. So I think the more opportunities that have for people to try that, the more word of mouth can spread, the more legitimacy it can build over time. And I just really wish more people will understand. But I think like for example here, people are hearing about it. I just need to talk about it more, and I need to not underestimate myself as well, because I do have a lot of different passions, as you mentioned earlier, and it's a matter of prioritizing. So I'm definitely this year trying to spearhead more on the assisted technology I'm working on, because a lot of people can really live a better life with it. They're really good.
How common is the disease?
Myasthenia gravis is so rare. I mean, it's like maybe under 5% in the population. Although some people aren't getting diagnosed, like it took me a long time to get diagnosed. So I suspect it's a little higher. It's just that it can be misconstrued as something else, like fibromyalgia or something at first for people that barely have it. But my case was so severe that it was okay. There's definitely going some of the electrical impulses. But some people in your early stages, it can be misconstrued as something else. At first, I thought it was a stroke, but it wasn't a stroke, obviously. But they thought it was a stroke. So that in the hospital, I spent five days in the hospital being monitored, all the different tests, and I was like, "No, it's not a stroke. I'm telling you." And the doctor was running around, didn't know what was going on. I was like, so
Now,
it's
you're in
like,
Houston, which is what is it, the third or fourth largest city in the country. Is there a support group specifically for it?
there are a few here in Houston for myasthenia gravis, and there's a ton online, especially on Facebook, for groups from I think just like 12 or 15. on Facebook, from my understanding, they're pretty big because that's all around the world. So luckily online, because I don't get out the house very much, but online I've really felt the support and love of people that have gone through this, and I've learned more through them than some of my doctors. Because I have a lot of tattoos, as you see. I don't know if you can see. I have a lot of tattoos, and before I got some of my newer tattoos, I asked the opinion of the other people with my myasthenia. It's like, do you have any side effects? And very few of them have said no. My arm did swell up kind of a lot, but then it went down, so it was okay. It was okay. So the doctors don't know because there's no case study on it. See what I'm saying? Because it's so rare. So my case study is like just people living through it and just feeding information back and forth to each other.
What do you hope to do in the future?
Well, a little bit more of what I have done, but on a larger scale, perhaps. Like for example, there was a organization, Casa and Andrea, that helped trans women with find shelter and homes that didn't have the security financially to support themselves because of the some of the situations they have gone through and the persecution they have gone through. And so they took shelter at Casa and Andrea, but they had a low funding and they were afraid of losing the place. So friends of mine, we got together, and with the help of Melinda Valentine, she really helped. She really helped organize the performers, and I helped organize the fundraiser itself to bring more funds to them. And they've kept going, build up momentum, and they're really successful right now. I'm really proud of them. So there are things like that, because I'm non-binary myself, but being non-binary, there's like an overlap with different groups that have been persecuted, and there's not enough of a reach, and like what you're doing is giving people more of a reach, So in the same vein as that, as an influencer, I want to give people more of a voice. So I'm trying to schedule basically more like Facebook Live videos with people that really want to get out there and to really want to branch out and use my platform as a way to sort of like make it. Last year, I was kind of that sort of took precedence, but now this year I'm getting a lot more room to try to make more of a change for things.
If you could travel anywhere right now, where would you like to go?
Paris.
And why is that?
Paris. Because well, Paris and Italy, I should say, because I mentioned, I guess I don't know if I mentioned it a little bit. The Renaissance was a really big inspiration of mine, and as an artist, Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, seeing these artists in books is one thing, but seeing it in person, I've never seen them work in person, and I want to see the work in person, and also taste the cuisine in person. There's just so much history of life that I've sort of been raised on. That some people mistake me for being culture in terms of worldly going places because my interest, but it's all been through books and through I've never been outside the U.S. except for Canada. So that would be nice to have to go to these places. Definitely.
Very good, very good. That's very interesting that you'd like to see the inventors' drawings and things. That's because that's what you've done. Do you have any other
Yeah,
inventions that you're
Leonardo da
working
Vinci
on?
was it. I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you have any other inventions that you're working on?
Oh yeah. Okay, so um, there was like a more developed version of this that goes not just the neck, it goes the whole half torso. It's a whole torso, and it helps support the lungs, the upper vertebrae, the back. And right now, I'm trying to get to the spine area because once I get to the spine, I can get to the hips. And once I get to the hips, I get to the legs. And the legs are the one I'm pretty much building up towards. Because like my upper body, like the arms, the neck, the torso, I have a lot of advances with that already, which is really good. And that already can help someone's life better. But if I can get to the legs, that's what I think a lot of funding will go to is the legs because that's where you need motorized or articulated um, Arduino kids and different types of like compressions to make the legs strengthen. So that's the electronics will come into. So I have some designs already been working on, but to actually use that, yeah, I definitely need more resources for the legs. I want to get around. I know I can do it.
You'd be hell on wheels, that's for sure. if you could wheel
Yeah.
yourself. All right.
There's actually funny.
Go ahead.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. There was a company called Kuden. There's a Japanese company called Kuden. I did some work with for fashion, and they contracted a artist to do a manga drawing of me in my wheelchair, and they gave it like rockets on it, and like it looked like a spaceship on wheels. And so I was like, wow, so it made me look like a superhero in a wheelchair. And I was like, oh my god, so you never see someone in a wheelchair in a manga or a comic book. You never see that except for Xavier and X-Men, which is cool. But you need to see more of that. So I thought that was amazing. I had the opportunity.
Well, that's wonderful. It's wonderful to talk to you. I so admire your stamina, your drive, and your ambitions. Thank you so much for joining us and educating us on a very important topic.
Oh, thank you. Oh, there's one last thing I'd like to mention, if it's okay. So there's a company I've been working with to try to help people find jobs called Talent Logic. And like, so look at me, I have tattoos. I look like I came from another planet, But if you can find jobs for everybody, that's like the ideal life. And so I'm trying to help people of all types get jobs and have the life they want to have.
Wow. Thinking of others. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
After 3 years of interviews, some are very, very special. And that was one of them.